Patience. It's definitely a virtue, but is it something that we're born with, or is it something that we can learn? I think that it's both. I think some of us are born with it, and then some of us learn it. As we walk down the road of wisdom today, we're going to discuss this word that we call patience. So let's go. Good morning, good morning. It's your host, Andy Graham, and it's another episode of The Road to Wisdom. And today's word, as you can see right here, boom, is patience. Patience is the word, and man, I think this is definitely going to be a humdinger. This is a word that we all sometimes struggle with using, but I think that we can definitely learn it. And I want to go ahead and give you two definitions about patience. The first one is today's word as I look into the dictionary. The word and the definition for patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. I want to say that one more time. The definition of patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering without getting angry or upset. Now, as it uses a biblical definition, which I looked up today, the biblical usage for patience is steadfastness, constancy, which is faithfulness and dependability, and enduring, and well, to endure. And it says in the New Testament, the characteristic of a man who is not swerved from his deliberate purpose and his loyalty to faith and piety. And piety, the word means religion, by even the greatest trials and suffering. I'll say it one more time. In the biblical usage, patience is steadfastness, constancy, which is faithfulness and dependent, and enduring. The definition is in the New Testament, the characteristic of a man who is not swerved from his deliberate purpose and his loyalty to faith and piety, which is religion, by even the greatest trials and suffering. So I mean, you go through all kind of trials and suffering, tribulations, but if you have patience, and we know who had patience in the Bible, Job. We use that. I've heard that terminology, and I've heard that quote, the patience of Job. That is definitely, he went through a lot of suffering and turmoil in the Bible, but he was patient and he was steadfast, and God delivered him from Satan's temptation. For a scripture on the word patience comes from the book of Proverbs, as you know, my favorite book. It's the 14th chapter and the 29th verse, and it says, "Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly." Dannyism t-shirt. Whoever is slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. And folly means when you do silly stuff. And as I tell you all the time, I pray for three things every morning. I pray, Lord, for wisdom. I pray for bridle my tongue, for not say crazy stuff, and to take my time when I say stuff and think about it. And the third thing is I pray for to be slow to anger. So I'm definitely embracing that. Patience, like I said earlier, is a virtue. We've heard that saying millions of times, thousands of times in our lifetime. It's definitely a virtue. It's definitely a characteristic that you should try to obtain. And I know some people, it's hard. I sometimes falling behind somebody, road rage. I've seen people lose their patience. One of my oldest daughter, she has a road rage at sometimes, and she's going off and saying stuff. I'm like, it ain't that serious. But we all have road rage sometimes. I've had, daughter has it. And a lot of times we go somewhere and we think that especially when patients, like you go in the grocery store or Walmart in particular, and you see the line is 10 or 15 people behind. They only got two lines open. And you're like, why don't they get more people in the register? But now Walmart is saying, oh, we only got one or two people in the register. We got the self checkout, so you ain't have to worry about that. But sometimes the self checkout line is as long as get out, and then sometimes they have some that's just for money, and they have some just for cards. And you're like, why did they open up both sides? They just open up one side. So a lot of times we live in a world now that's just fast, 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 and we just don't have patience. And we just got to take a deep breath and say, okay, look, there's nothing I can do about this particular situation I'm in, so there's no need to get angry and all and upset. Just take it in stride, take a deep breath, and just try to be patient as possible. That is definitely easier said than done. I want to tell you a story about patience that I read yesterday when I was doing some research. I thought it would definitely be a good example for patience. Stories about a Buddha monk, and he was on this long. He intentionally went on this long journey, and he took two of his disciples with him, and they walked a long way during the day, and they went through this tough terrain. And when he got to a destination where he wanted to stop for the night, he told his youngest and most impatient disciple to go get them some water, and the water was maybe a few hundred yards, maybe a little bit longer. Not sure what the distance was. And the young disciple went there, and as he got to the water, he saw that a herd of buffalo had trampled through the water, and it was all muddy from the silt and stuff. And he was like, I can't bring this back to my master. There's no way. So he went back and told the Buddha monk, I can't bring the water now, it's dirty. The monk said, go back, give me some water. So he goes back and get water, and he looks at the water, and it's still muddy and stuff. He's like, I just can't give this water to my master, to the monk. He's not going to accept it. It's not respectable. So he goes back a second time and tells the monk, and the monk tells him, third time, go back and bring me some water. This time he's fuming. He's kind of upset. He's like, look, I done went there twice, and the water is not fit to drink because it's dirty because the buffalo went through it. Well, this time he kind of takes his time. He walks slow, and he gets there, and then guess what? The silt and all the stirring of the water had settled down, and the water was crystal clear. And he was able to dip out the water into the water bag and take it back to to the Buddha priest. And the Buddha priest said, if you were patient and would have waited there instead of coming back 2 or 3 times, you would know that it takes time for the water to settle. And once the water and the dirt settles down to the bottom, the water becomes clear and drinkable. So that just is a fable, I guess, or a story that I heard. And it's a good example to me for patience. And a lot of times, our elders, fathers, uncles, brothers, sisters, mothers, aunts, whatever, they've already seen stuff in life. And when they see us doing some of the same silly mistakes that they did when they were our age, they try to sit down and tell us. And sometimes we're just impatient. And sometimes as impatience can make you want to grow up faster than you should and faster than you have to. And a lot of times people find out once they're young kids, teenagers, young women, and then when they get to our ages in the 50s, 40s, and 50s, then they see, well, maybe mom and dad knew what they were talking about. Maybe my brother knew what they were talking about, trying to rush, because trying to be an adult and being an adult now, trying to take care of bills, trying to take care of family, trying to have a career, trying to be very good at your career. It's a juggling act, and you have to have patience. You have to have good time management, but there are times you're going to be stressed out either at home and functioning well at work, or struggling at work and functioning well at home. It's very few times that you're both. And when you can you can juggle both of them. You have your career, you have your family, you have your spiritual life already. When you have all those kind of driving and going at the same time, that is a complete blessing. And it takes a lot of patience to do that, because something most times is going to be lacking in some shape, form, or fashion. But again, before you get all stressed out, you have to exercise patience. Like I said, when you're patient, you make rational decisions. When you're impatient, you make irrational decisions, impulsive decisions, and that is for a leader, someone in my position, someone in a supervisor position, someone in the head of a family, someone who's a preacher, a head of a church, someone who's a CEO, head of an organization. That can be very detrimental. It can be very damaging to your reputation, to your company, to your church, to your marriage, to your children, to your profession. Make sure that when you make decisions, never, ever, ever make decisions when you're mad. Don't be impatient. Make sure you get all the facts so you can make the best informed decision humanly possible. I am a big proponent of that. I want to get as much information as I can. That way I can make an intelligent, informed, and logical decision. But sometimes in certain situations, especially in law enforcement, you have to process information very, very quickly. And at the longer the longer you're at the position of an investigator, or at a narcotics agent, or whatever position you are, and you specialize in that particular aspect of law enforcement, and you see things, and you can process stuff faster. I think we had a conversation today about how fast the NFL versus college versus high school, because If you're going to be an NFL quarterback, you have to be able to process a lot of information, and you have to do it fast. And sometimes you have to be patient because the windows that open and close for you to throw that ball sometime or split second, or sometimes you have to wait for the play to develop. You hear a lot of times when coaches said the reason the interception was thrown, the reason why the pass wasn't thrown, because sometimes they rush to development, and sometimes they rush to play, and sometimes you got to wait for the play to development. Sometimes you have to wait for the play to develop. As a quarterback, processing all the information, you have to be patient. Sometimes patience can be only 2 seconds. Sometimes patience can be 3 seconds. Sometimes, depending on the strength and the technique and skill of your offensive line, they may give you even more time. But sometimes you have to be patient. Let your receivers run their routes. Let your tight end run their routes, and let the play develop. You have to exercise patience. Impatience also can cause anger. Like I said, road rage. You're trying to get somewhere. You're running late for work. You're running late for church. You're running late for whatever appointment that you may have. If you don't have a lot of patience, or if you don't leave the house on time and get there, and then something happens, and you have to be at a certain time, or it's going to be some consequences, or something's going to be said, that impatience can quickly turn into anger. And then once you get angry, we kind of hulk out, and then sometimes we just say things we don't mean to say. Sometimes we be in an attitude that carries on to the meeting, or carries on to you walking inside to your spouse or your family, and you got your head all wrong, you're snapping and stuff. All was born from being impatient. Sometimes you just gotta take that deep breath. Sometimes you just gotta say, woosah, woosah. It's not worth it, because impatience definitely leads to anger. Some biblical examples of patience was, like I said, Job. God allowed the devil to tempt Job, to put all kind of pressure on him from all aspects, from his wife, from his kids, from his livestock, from his wealth, all different aspects. But Job was patient. He did not curse God. He knew that he didn't do anything wrong. He continued to pray to God and say, God, just please allow me to endure this and get through this. And God, of course, and allowed him to endure it. And God caused the devil to stop doing that. And Job had the patience. And like we hear all the time, the patience of Job was what got him through it. Also, with the grace and mercy of God, he was able to not only get back what he lost, but he doubled everything that he got back. And could you imagine, like during the time of Noah, God told Noah to build an ark. Sometime roughly between 115, 120 years, it took Noah to build an ark, from what I'm researching. Can you imagine that? And then during that time, there wasn't much rain. And when Noah said this to the people, they was like, "Rain? What are you talking about? Flood? It ain't rain like that. It hadn't stormed like that since February." I mean, it doesn't say exactly how much rain it did, but my understanding and my reading is that it didn't rain much during that time. And when Noah first said to build his ark because there's going to be a great flood, people did not believe him. They thought he was crazy and foolish. But Noah had patience because he was walking with God, and God was speaking to him, and God was telling him, and he had faith in God. And his faith in God is what saved him and his family, what saved all the animals, because he believed in God. He was patient. He didn't know exactly when, but he knew that God told him to take that gopher wood and create the ark, and to let the animals come 2 by 2. And he was patient. He was obedient. And guess what? It saved him and his family. Abraham and Sarah. Abraham made a covenant with God, and God said that he would make sure that his lineage go on for eons and eons, well, decades and decades and years. But according to my readings, Abraham was like 100 years old when he had his first son, Isaac. He didn't think he was going to have Isaac. And his wife Sarah was a very beautiful woman. She was so beautiful that when they were traveling, I believe, to Egypt, Abraham told Sarah to tell the Pharaoh that he was his sister, that she was his sister, because he thought that she was so beautiful that Pharaoh would definitely kill him to have her for himself. But Sarah was without child. They waited 25 years before God delivered them a child. So that's another form of patience, because we know we want stuff right there and right there. With frustration, and you're like, well, I don't understand, God. I'm being obedient. I'm doing what you asked me to do. But God, like I said earlier, God does things on his time. Not our time, not your time, not my time, but his time. So God took 25 years in order to make Sarah fertile enough to have a baby. She was 90 years old when she had Isaac. Let that sink in. 90 years old. So, but it was on time. It was his time, and it was perfect. And then God further tempted Abraham by saying he had to offer his son, his beloved son Isaac, as an offering. God was testing him, see whether or not he was going to be obedient. Patience. Isaac did what not Isaac, but Abraham did what he's supposed to do and was obedient and was patient, and God provided a suitable offering to replace his son. So you got to be obedient, got to be patient. God will do things that you ask him to do, but he's going to do it on his time, not your time. But you have to show patience, have to have patience. Patience is developed through tests and trials and through practicing walking in the Spirit to grow the fruit of the Spirit. God is going to give you trials. He's going to test you. He's going to put you in situations to see whether or not, first of all, you're going to ask for his help. 2, you're going to have faith. And 3, are you going to be patient? If you can do all those things, if you can ask for help, you can have patience, and you can also have faith in him. God will grant you your requests, your prayers, but you have to have those 3. Those 3 are main ingredients. Faith. You got to have faith in God. You got to ask God. Well, first you got to ask God, then you got to have faith in that he's going to do it. And you got to be patient to let him do whatever he's going to do, to work his ways, to close these doors, to open these doors, to close these windows, to open these windows. God can do it all, but he's going to do it in his time. And all it requires is asking him, faith, and then got to have patience to wait to see what he's going to do and how he's going to do it. Well, those are my 2 cents on that, and I hope that what I said resonates with you in your spirit. I hope that it makes you say, good points, Danny, and I hope that you would definitely leave me a comment. If this is the first time you're ever seeing my channel, definitely please subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like, leave a comment like I said earlier, and watch my video in its entirety. I will be back on Monday. Same bat time, same bat channel. I'm not sure what the word of the day will be, but also this Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm releasing a video. It's going to be short, but like last week I did one, and the video was, "Can you stand the pressure?" This video is going to be another one, and I want to make sure that I give you all the right name for it, but it will be every Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to release it, and please excuse me for not having it already pulled up. But I am definitely going to have that available, but just look for that. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but definitely look for it. Give me 1 minute to try and find it. Yeah, it's going to be "Can I Be Better?" August 19th, this Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to release a video, and it's going to be titled "Can I Be Better?" Please make sure, if you're not doing anything, tune in and check that out. As always, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, have a marvelous day, and as always, be safe and stay blessed.